Coming up next, I'll tell you how you can job hunt during the coronavirus, and later, how to create your web of connections. We'll take your calls, your chats, and it all starts right now. I'm coming to you live from Ramsey Studios in Nashville, and you are joining a conversation about who you are, what you were created to do, where you want to do it, and how you can get there. I'm Ken, so excited that you're with us today. The YouTube program is blowing up, and I want to say a big thanks to you. You're watching it. You are liking the program. You are subscribing. You are sharing, and I am grateful. Never have we needed this conversation anymore than right now, and so we're going to give you certainty in a time of uncertainty. We'll focus on what you can be certain on, and we're going to take your questions. 844-747-2577 is the number. But first, from the headlines, what's happening? So how can the soon-to-be college graduates get prepared for the job hunt? I mean, that's essentially what I want to cover for just a few moments, because in the midst of all the health news and economic news, the reality is it's spring. And a few months from now, there's going to be a whole new wave of college graduates trying to get into the workforce. And while there's a whole lot of uncertainty as to which industries will be hurt the most, how long is the shutdown going to last, all this stuff is fluid right now. But the reality is that in the next month or two, there will still be many companies, as we've been talking about on my Instagram page. You can go check that post out at Ken Coleman. We're talking about it every day. A lot of companies are surging right now because their products and services are in high demand. So they're hiring. So how do you get hired when the in-person interviews aren't happening? Well, you got to prepare for the two types of interviews that are happening and will happen. And that is the phone interview and the video interview. The phone interview and the video interview. Now, the phone interview, something you got to think about is you don't have the luxury of reading the interviewer's body language. You just don't have that. And so you've got to be able to read a person's body language to truly understand how things are going. So over the phone, you don't have that. And so what you're going to have to do is really, really prepare. Do some sample phone interviews. I think the best way to practice is actually have a friend, a family member, and it's not some funsy little thing where they're just teeing you up for your rehearsed answers. They need to do their best to interview you. And you have got to be practicing the phone interview. Then the video interview is a great option. And I would recommend that the video interview is what you lead with. Say, hey, I'm happy to do a video interview. I can do Skype, FaceTime, Zoom, whatever it is. And if they're willing to do that, I would choose that option if I were you. And what I want you to know is that this is just like an in-person interview in the sense that they can see you. They can read your face. They can see what you look like. So understand this is an interview. Don't show up in a hoodie. Just because you're doing it at home and everything else is relaxed, don't show up in a hoodie. Do your hair, brush your teeth. Well, Ken, they can't see my teeth. Well, maybe they can, maybe they can't. Act like it's a real interview, because it is. And back to preparation is the key to performing well. If I am relentless in my preparation, I will be reflexive in my performance. And to that end, we've got a great How to Win the Interview guide at kencoleman.com. It is free. It will prepare you for the phone interview and the video interview. It'll walk you through everything you would do in an in-person interview, and it all applies, except for the one caveat with the phone interview is you can't see them, they can't see you. But go get the free guide right now and pass this around. I'm telling you, college grads, people are still hiring. It may be a little bit different, but you've got to prepare. And, it's one last thing. Certainly for Gen Z, this is the generation that's graduating from college. They don't do a lot of phone calls. They don't even talk to each other. They just text. So get comfortable with some phone conversations. It wouldn't hurt for you to have some phone conversations that aren't even mock interviews. Just get on the phone and stand up during the phone conversation, get some good energy, get some good posture, all that's going to help come through. But you can still get hired, even though you may not do the in-person interview. 844-747-2577 is the number. You can throw your questions here in the chat room to the right of the video window. We're going to get to those in a little bit, but we're going to start it off with Lynnette, who joins us in McKinney, Texas. Lynnette, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Well, hello there.
Hi, how are you?
I am well, thank you.
Good.
So I'm just going to jump right to it,
Good.
Ken. My question is, I'm a team lead in at my job right now. I love my job, love the organization, love their vision, mission statement, everything. So I've been there for about 5 years, and I'm really hitting on all my skill sets. I get to be a leader there, which is, what my heartbeat is. So my question is, I know that, I know in the future there will be, maybe in the next, maybe 3 years, maybe sooner than that, but there's an opportunity for me to be on the executive leadership team.
Okay.
So my question is, what do I need to ask myself? What do I need to do to get to the next level? It seems too basic to say, well, how do I improve? So I will tell you a couple of things that I do. I listen to podcasts. I'm definitely a Ken Coleman cheerleader because
thank you.
On my drive in, I listen into work. It's about a 45-minute drive, but listen to podcasts, listen to other podcasts. I know the Ramsey Network, so I try to listen to different individuals within that organization. So what is your advice for me?
Well, I think you're making a list, and I think it's two buckets, two bucket list here. What am I learning? What am I doing? So the learning, it feels to me like you're already doing a wonderful job there. You're listening to leadership programs, personal growth and development programs, watching stuff on YouTube, reading books, listening to books. So that the listening, watching, reading is what you're learning, okay? And so you want to be just filling yourself up with great leadership and personal growth content for this reason. Number one, you want to grow as a leader, and learning what great leaders do, what great organizations do, that's going to help you. That's tremendous knowledge that you can then turn into practical application. Now, the other thing is to understand that the personal growth side of things is just as important as reading leadership and listening to leadership content. So, for instance, you've got to understand that you are the lid, Lynnette. Any team you lead in the future, you are the lid to that team, and you would be the lid to the organization. The organization can't outgrow its leaders. And so you need to understand that it's not just leadership content that you want to be diving into. It's discipline, personal discipline, relationship skills, things like that. The leader needs to be a very well-rounded and healthy person. So think of what you would say about a healthy person, a healthy leader. Are they winning in their home? Are they winning in the office? I think the answer is yes to both of those. So that's what I would tell you there. Now, as far as the conversation with your leadership, I didn't catch it. Are you currently leading a team right now on some level?
I am, yes. I have a team of about 8 people that I'm leading.
Okay.
And then within our organization, we're an organization of, right now we're at 80, but at the end of 2020, we should be around 100.
Have you identified a specific leadership position within your company that you would like to step up into?
The operations side of it.
Okay. Do you have much operations experience now?
Yes.
Okay.
A few years ago, I was an operations leader.
Great.
So,
how was that experience for you?
It was only a learning experience. It was my first operational position. It was difficult in that, I had this skill set. It was difficult in that trying to execute certain tasks and responsibilities would just stall out with the next group that would kind of like when you turn something over to the next group, it would stall out there.
Okay.
That was a little bit like that, frustrating a little bit.
Sure.
But all that to say, in my current role, in a couple of weeks, I get to, and I've got a really great relationship with our CEO and visionary.
Good.
So I get to meet with him in a couple of weeks, and I'm preparing myself for that conversation.
Right. Well, let me tell you what I want you to do. Okay, so here's the rest of my answer. The rest of my answer.
Okay.
I told you what I want you to do as it relates to learning. Okay, so now here's the doing. All right.
Okay.
So what you need to do is this is gonna be, it might be fun for you. I don't know. But what I want you to do is you need to get anonymous feedback. You need to tell your current team, look, I want to grow as a leader. You don't have to tell them you're looking for another position in the company. You don't have to divulge all that. But just simply say, look, I want to be a better leader. And so I want to give you all an anonymous survey. Tell me where I can get better. Tell me what I do best, what I don't do well, where you think I could get better, blah, blah, blah. Just come up with the most intimate questions that you want the answers to about your leadership. And let it be anonymous. That is huge information to get you ready for this meeting in 2 weeks, because you want to know the areas and be aware and say, look, I've talked anonymously with my team. Here's what I'm doing really well. Here's what I do best according to them. And it lines up with what I want to do in the future here. So I'm sitting down with you to say, I am becoming as self-aware as I possibly can as a leader. I am going to mitigate the areas where I'm weak. I'm going to withdraw from those areas and empower my team to do that. And I'm going to focus my time and my efforts to execute and to grow in the areas where I'm really strong. And I want to step up. And so I want you to know I've done that work and I am addressing that and really excited. Here's some other things I'm doing to grow and be more valuable to the company. Are there some things that you would like to see me do that would make me even more valuable? And I want your feedback on that. And then I want you to know that I'm hungry and I am willing to do whatever it takes to keep moving up. And I'm grateful to be here. And I think I can really add value because of this, and this. And I think you just leave it open. You don't have to go and go, what can I do to be better? You've already, you're walking in going, I know what I need to do better. And I know what I do really well. And she's going to be very impressed with that kind of homework that you've done. So that's all you need to do. And again, humility while showing hunger. Grateful while showing hunger. That's an attractive thing. Let's go across the pond next. Wow, Arthur joins us in England. Arthur, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hello, Ken. Can you hear me?
I can. How are you, sir?
I'm very good. You?
Well, I got to tell you, man, I'm still living the dream. Despite the virus, I'm still living the dream, man.
Oh, that's fantastic. I can't believe that I'm on a call. I sent a random email to you guys and didn't expect Madison to get back to me.
Well,
fantastic job.
She's awesome. Madison's a real person. She is not a robot, so she likes to get back to people. How can I help today?
So, Ken, I have a 4-year relevant experience gap in my CV. I stopped working full-time in IT sales in 2016. I was laid off work. And because up to that point, I would work in 2 places, like being a duty manager of a leisure center on weekends and also work in IT sales like 60, 70 hours constantly for nearly 10 years. I decided to take some time off, initially a few months. Mm-hmm. Then I can't just sit still. So I found some things to do online. I found a few tech startups, so I worked there. Then we decided to have a second child, and because I didn't have that experience before, because I would work so much with our second child, I decided kind of to be around, to have that flexibility. Okay. And right now, because of all this uncertainty, I decided, okay, that's it. I need to have a stable income coming in, but it's 4 years later. So I'm trying to figure out what I can do in order to make my CV appealing to potential employers.
Well, I appreciate this. I mean, we get this call a lot here in the States as well, and the answer is just as the same to you as it would be somebody in the States. It's all about relevant work experience. It's not about what you're saying are gaps. But the reality is your gaps aren't that big, if I understood you correctly, because you did do some work in those 4 years. It wasn't just 4 years of unemployment. Am I correct?
Yes. So since 2007, I've been working as a duty manager. So you've just talked about the leadership, and that's why I kind of want to include that. And at the same time, I'm thinking, how are they going to look at it? It has nothing to do with tech with technology companies.
Well, is that what you want to do? Tell me what you want to do. Tell me, if we snapped our fingers and gave you something today, what would it be?
So honestly, when you actually talked about it, and I've just finished reading the proximity principle as well.
Oh, thank you.
And that was actually kind of my second question that I was hoping to sneak in. Like, how do I actually find out if IT sales is for me? Leadership is, because on several occasions I've noticed that I'm stepping up. I'm not the guy who's just hiding in the shadows, who's just waiting for somebody else to take over the baton.
Okay, so that's good. So let me answer your question. How do you figure out if IT sales is the thing? Okay, and I think it's as simple as going, do you like sales? You've been in sales. You've done sales for a long time. Do you like it?
I do.
All right. Yeah. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you like it? 1 being you can't stand it. 10, it's amazing.
I don't consider myself being like amazingly good at it.
I didn't ask you that. I asked you. I want a 7. Okay. So that's just the function. I just asked you a question about the function of selling. Would you reason that if you were selling something that you were really excited about, something that you really believed in, that might go to an 8 or 9?
Yes.
Okay. So then it seems to me that if you're excited about IT, specifically a certain software, a solution, an app, whatever you're selling, okay, and you knew that you were excited about the actual company because of the product or the service and what it did for people, that you got the juice from it, probably could turn that into a 9, 9.5, 10, especially if you went from sales into leading a sales team. See, I think that potentially is the direction for you. So to answer your question, how do I know if IT sales is for me? It's you separate the two like we just did. And Arthur, do you love selling? Well, you actually really enjoy it if it's something that you believe in. Yes or no?
Yeah.
So why IT? Yeah. Why'd you bring IT sales up? The question is, how excited are you about IT solutions and products and services?
I've always done it since I've been 12. Yes, I've always been digging, helping people out in like a neighboring village, just putting this back together. It's kind of like just helping people out.
Yeah, exactly. Through technology. So here's the thing. So the second part of your question is the proximity principle. How do I use that? So you're going to be talking to people that are in IT sales. So we already know that IT sales is certainly one of the things you could do. It's not the only thing, but it's definitely a thing. So that's the answer. Yes, IT sales is definitely a thing for you. However, let's go get some more clarity on the certain companies, the certain products and services from people who are selling them. And so you've got some relationships out there somewhere in your world that can get you to somebody who sells some type of technology. And I would talk to them and get a sense for, there's so many different things you could sell in technology. So what solutions, what services, what products do you get most excited about? And I think if you identify those, you're going to be fine. And I really love the idea of you wanting to be a leader, but sell really well and then lead other salespeople. Then you got the best of both worlds. Is that something that on the surface feels really good? Let's say we fast forwarded 5 years from now and you were leading a sales team in technology. How does it make you feel right this moment?
So the skill is always the key for me. I don't want to be that guy who is an accidental manager, but he's not doing the job better than the people on the floor. So that's, once I feel that I have that skill, I will be absolutely fine.
What skill? The skill to lead?
To sell, first and foremost.
Well, sure. But my point is, you know how to sell. You're a very successful salesperson, yes or no?
Yes.
Of course. It doesn't matter. Listen, you can learn how to sell. Do you know how many books are written on sales? There's so many best-selling books on sales right now. It's ridiculous. You've already been successful. I just think you're dealing with some doubt, and I don't think that the doubt is reasonable. I think the doubt's ridiculous. You are good at selling things. Yes or no, Arthur?
Yes.
All right. I want you to say with some conviction, I am good at selling stuff. Say that.
I'm good at selling stuff.
Of course you are. So now you just got to learn what stuff that you actually really want to sell in the IT space and learn how to sell it. Go to school on it and get really good at it. And then you really enjoy leading people and stepping up. And so in order to lead, you must first successfully follow. That's what I believe. And I think you've got a great path. So Arthur, man, listen, be free of the doubt. Whatever's causing you to doubt that you have what it takes, you need to shut that up, because you know in your heart you have what it takes. I know you do. And so your brain's trying to talk you out of it by saying, well, for 4 years you didn't have a consistent job, so no one's going to want to hire you. That's a bunch of garbage. The reality is that what I teach is that your resume needs to have only relevant information on it anyway. So you freak them out anyway. If you do it the way I teach, and I show you in the resume guide at kencoleman.com, this is for Arthur and everybody else, then what happens is it's not about a perfect timeline. They go, well, how come you don't have a timeline? Well, this guy, Ken Coleman, tells me that all you really care about is relevant information. So that's all I put on the resume. Just say that to them. It'll freak them out. Well, you make a good point. Who's this guy? I mean, think about it. This is a good point here. I'm getting ready to go to the chat room, so fire your questions away. This is a point that needs to be made very, very clear for a moment. Okay? Your resume is worthless without a relationship anyway. Okay? Even my resume guide, which definitely gets people's attention, it's still worthless without a relationship. In the building, somebody who goes, I know about Arthur through so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so, whatever it is. That's how you get hired, is relationships. All right. Number 2 that you got to know. A perfect resume in a timeline of all of your history of work is irrelevant to that hiring manager. They spend, we know this from The Ladders, which I'm a contributor to this great website, 7.4 seconds is how much time that a hiring manager is looking at a resume. So just look at this for a second, okay? Just count this out. Here we go. I got the resume. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000, 6, 1,000, 7, 1,000. Boop. That's what you get. That's what you get. All right, so I actually think you shouldn't put your entire timeline, because their brain is popping all over this piece of paper. They're looking at this. And I think if it's not a perfect chronological order, it's going to make them lean in a little bit more. Well, wait a second there. Wait. There's no, let's see, there's no timeline here. Let's see. Oh. But as they look closer to figure out the timeline, guess what they're going to see? Relevant information because of this. The only thing that a hiring manager cares about in the interview process is, can you help them win? Period. You can be the nicest, classiest, have the most impressive resume, but if they don't think you can help them win, I got news for you. You're not going to get hired. 844-747-2577. Okay, big news. Ramsey Solutions stepping up. By the way, you better pay attention to the Dave Ramsey Show today. Massive announcement. And I'm very excited about it. But one of the things he's going to be talking about that I'm going to tell you about first, that I'm allowed to, is we are offering the audiobook version of my best-selling book, The Proximity Principle, right there over my shoulder. You can get the audio version of that book read to you by me for $1.99, Joe. $1.99. So for less than $2, you can get the audio version of the Ken Coleman, of the Proximity Principle. You get the audio version of the Ken Coleman Show for free. But you can get the audio book right now by going to daveramsey.com/hope. daveramsey.com/hope. Now, the reason we're driving you to Dave's website is because as a company, we are banding together and putting all kinds of great free resources and super discounted stuff out there to help folks in this time of uncertainty. This is going to last forever. But right now, that's one of the great resources at daveramsey.com/hope. Get the Proximity Principle audio book for $1.99. So go get it. All right, let's go to the chat room. Here we go. These usernames always make me laugh. Baby Legs 504. I'd like to know the story behind Baby Legs 504, but we don't have time. The question is, how do I go about going to an interview while still employed? I don't want to lie to my employer about taking time off, but I also don't want them looking to let me go if I don't get the other job. Very simple. You have to take personal time to go on job interviews. You cannot steal from your current employer. It's stealing if you lie to them and go to a job interview on their dime, on their time. So what does that look like? To me, it's very simple. You've got a lunch break. Most companies allow you an hour for lunch. So you eat at your desk that day. Or you eat in the car on the way to the interview or on the way back. Probably on the way back is safer so you don't spill the sandwich on your lap before the interview. The point is you sacrifice your time. So I think it's two things, your lunch hour. And again, people can do interviews. You can take your hour at different times of the day. The other thing is you're going to have to take some paid time off. Not paid time off. You're going to have to take some personal time where you don't get paid. So don't use your vacation time. I think that's still a form of stealing because you're getting paid for that. But I guess I could live with that. But I wouldn't go any further than that. But this is it's like going to a doctor's appointment or something, or whatever you got to do. But it's, I've got an appointment and you keep it discreet. I've got a personal appointment and I'm not going to take paid time off here. You can dock me for this. Whatever. You got to be discreet. But the point is, I prefer the lunch hour plan. Hey, I'm taking a late lunch today. Or I'm not taking a lunch. I'm going to do an early breakfast and you keep it quiet. I think that's the best way to go. But just don't lie about it. And don't make a ruckus. Don't call unnecessary attention to it. Just be honest in the way of, I'm going to use my lunch hour or I'm going to take non-paid time off to do this. And I think that's the way to go. Dylan Roney, I'm planning on sitting down with my boss about my future at the company, and I want to know what I can do to grow in responsibilities and pay, but I also have options with other companies. Do you mention the other job options in this meeting? No. That would make the meeting tilt in a negative way. Dylan, what I think you do is you've got to come in and say, look, I want to grow in my responsibility here. I need a new challenge. I want a new challenge. Here's what I'm looking to do. And I'm willing to do what it takes. What can I improve on? What's a growth plan for me so that I can increase my responsibility and increase my pay? Saying it that way is a really good way to say it. And it doesn't put your boss in a complete corner. Say, look, I just want to talk through it. And I'm wondering if you're willing to come up with a growth plan for me. And the growth plan, again, is not just what can you do better, okay? It's where can I learn and grow? What are some new skills that you think I could acquire, which will be valuable to the company, that'll put me in a position to get more responsibility and more pay? That is a way to handle that. Now, while you're having that conversation, you're talking to other people. And if other people come in with an offer, then you come in. But I would not bring it up until you have an offer on the table. Don't say, I have some other folks talking to me. No. You bring it up when you have another offer, and only if you are willing to even consider staying. If you don't want to stay, don't play games. Say, it's not you, it's me, and break up. Jacob Smiley, are cover letters essential? I've always skipped them. I don't think cover letters matter. This is why we did the resume guide on kencoleman.com and why we don't recommend a cover letter. However, I will tell you, I've had a lot of feedback from you folks, and I'm a man of the people. And basically what you've said to me is, well, some people still require a cover letter, so I don't want you to get completely thrown in the trash. So I'm working on a version of a cover letter, which is basically going to be what I do in the resume anyway. But we're going to help you and have that short, super sweet. We want that to stand out too. So it's going to be different than the average cover letter. But my personal opinion is, I don't think they're essential because of what I said just moments ago on the show, which is that we know from human resource research that hiring managers are spending 7.4 seconds scanning your resume. That is the cover letter is just getting thrown in the trash. And that's the irony of the whole thing. Companies go, well, send a cover letter and a resume. Well, they don't even look at the cover letter. So I don't think they're essential. Especially if you go about the way that I tell you to go about it, which is this. Let me clarify why I don't think they're essential. A resume is worthless without a relationship. This is what I believe. And what that means is that you need to have a connection. It doesn't have to be personal, one-to-one. Could be 1-to-4. Somebody knows somebody that knows somebody who's going to say, hey, Jacob's a great dude. I think he's a great fit. I think we need to interview him. And that person takes your resume in and hands it to the relevant hiring manager, even though you've had to apply online because companies have a process. So you still got to apply here. But what I'm teaching is circumventing the process. Why? They'll find you in the database. But what's great is the hiring manager's already heard from somebody that they know or know of that's inside the company, and you've just been moved to the top of the pile. At which point, the cover letter is even more irrelevant. So that's why I'm saying that. 844-747-2577. I'm going to get back to the calls, but I want to share something real quick about this idea of the web of connections. I mention this a lot. It's a chapter 12 in my book, The Proximity Principle, which is available in audio form for $1.99. You like how I did that, Joe? It's just like a full sentence. Go to daveramsey.com/hope to get that right now. Chapter 12 is called Web of Connections. And it's literally this visual of a spider web. And so how do I begin to make connections and get in places where I don't think I know anybody? And so there's a whole chapter dedicated to this. So I want you to go get it, go read it, or listen to it. But let me break it down right now for those of you that are new to the program. All right? Here's what you do. You need to create a list. You need to create a reason, and you need to create an ask. Let me walk through the list, all right? So the list is made up of, and again, I love the old-fashioned, just get out a piece of paper and boom, boom, 2 columns right there, boom, boom, right there. And I just said woom, woom. It's like a new noise. I've never said it. It's boom, boom is a little better. I said woom, woom. I don't even know what that is. Yeah, Madison's cringing right now. I don't know. I was thinking whoop, whoop. You know, I was trying to do the John Madden thing. I don't know what I was doing. All right. I digress. 2 lines on the paper that gives you 3 columns, essentially, is what we're saying here. And so what you do is you're going to write down close friends. Then you're going to write down family, and then you're going to write down acquaintances. And essentially, those are your 3 areas where you're going to be able to identify connections. And it's important to get this out of your head because you go, I don't know anybody, until you actually sit down and go, all right, I'm going to write down all my close friends. I'm going to write down my family members. And now I'm going to write down acquaintances, people that I know, maybe on social media, went to school with, and not super close. I know them from a previous job. If I see them on the street, they're going to be friendly. That's the idea. So that's the first thing, okay? Create those 3 columns because those are the people you're going to reach out to. Now that leads us to the second thing, which is the reason. Write the reason down. Now you know the reason, but write it down. I want to get into nursing. Boom, there's your reason, okay? I want to work at company XYZ. There's your reason, okay? Now, the third thing is the ask. Write the ask down so, again, you get it out of your head. And when you write it down, you've got a nice little sentence. You can edit it a few times so you feel good about it. And this is the thing you're going to say to people. This is the thing you're going to email people. This is the thing you're going to text people, okay? So you've got the list, the reason, the ask. And the ask is simple. Do you know anybody that works at company XYZ? Do you know anybody that's a nurse? Whatever it is. Will you connect me to them? That's it. Those simple steps that I just gave you will get momentum going, and you will begin to see the web come together. And I love the imagery of the spider web. It's what the spider creates to catch bugs so it can eat. This is how you catch opportunity. All right? So there you go. Go get the Proximity Principle, KenColeman.com. Wherever books are sold, you can get the audiobook only at daveramsey.com/hope right now for $2. What a gift. And by the way, a lot of you are sitting around trying to come up with something to do. Let me read to you. By the way, I don't talk that way the whole time. Could you imagine? Everybody in the control booth is like, please tell them that that's not what you do. Not at all. Very normal, just like you're hearing me on the show. So go check that out. All right, let's do another call here before we go. Riverside, California. William joins us there. William, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hey, how's it going, Ken?
I am living the dream, William. What's up?
Hey, so I am a military Navy recruiter, active duty over here in Riverside, California.
Okay.
And volunteered for this gig, right? Not the recruiter side. And during that time, I've really been getting in touch with a lot of schools, a lot of teachers, a lot of counselors, a lot of students. And for as long as I can remember, I've always really enjoyed the idea of teaching.
Okay.
Teaching anything, really. But in high school, I just feel like that's a little bit more concrete, a little bit more stable. I wouldn't say I'm a scholar in math, but I do love math, and
Okay.
I hear there's a lot of job security in that.
Okay.
So I'm trying to figure out how to get into that, particularly on the studies. So, because I have to, get my degrees and stuff, and I've been in for almost 10 years. I've really tried to shoot at college credits, but it wasn't, it didn't land anywhere. I didn't go exactly where I wanted to go, but I was trying to go for business. But the more I, think about it during these downtimes, it's really like striking me like, man, like education is probably something you should go into.
So what's your question?
Last night
What's your question?
So my question is like two questions. How do I find a way to do college while I'm serving on distance learning, but being able to transfer those credits? I don't want to waste my time going to one college and jump into another one.
Right.
So I want to transfer those credits to something, particularly in California, since I'm predicting I'm going to stay here. And then the second question is, I don't want to necessarily pigeonhole myself in education as a study discipline. So I was looking into math as well, but I kind of was hoping you could help me out with that.
Okay, so love the questions. Very simple. So the first thing is you got to do your homework, and so while you're in the Navy, I'm assuming that is the GI Bill for you currently active, or is it when you're out?
You can use it on both, but I'm actually engaged to this lady, and she's probably going to be taking over the stuff because she's going through a master's program of her own. So I'll be transferring that over and finding a different way to fund my education.
Okay, so then so what you have to do is you just have to do your homework to say, okay, I'm going to do some long distance learning, and I got to make sure that stuff is transferable. Because are you thinking that you're going to do some online courses, and then when you're out or in the near future, you're going to transfer those credits to a state school in California?
Yeah, that's the plan. And that's the
do your homework, but do your homework on the front end. That's a simple question. Hey, here's my plan. So you talk to these people that you're looking at doing the online classes with and say, hey, here's my plan. Is your stuff accredited, and will it transfer over? Okay. Mm-hmm. So that's a simple checklist. Do your homework on the front end. The second question, that's interesting to me. I think that's just talking to math teachers in California, doing some homework with the state education board, just making sure that if I get a math degree in college, is that going to qualify me to be a teacher in the state of California? Mm-hmm. Or do I have to have an education degree? And if either one works, then you choose the one you want to do, okay? Because you're thinking, well, I don't want to be too generalist. I don't want to be just education. I want math. But the point is that either one might work.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So whichever one work, if both work, then go with the math. But if the math won't get you hired, then you've got a pretty solid answer there. You don't do it, right?
That makes sense.
So you could do the education major with a math minor or something like that. So both of these answers are right there in front of you, and you can go get them. Okay.
Got it.
All right, my man. Appreciate you. Thank you for your service. You are a great American. Well, Joe, my time's up. And I never like that. But hey, we're going to keep being here live every day. Before I let you go, I want you to know that you matter and you do have what it takes. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, this is the Ken Coleman Show. Press on.